I call Ruth Maguire, followed by Margaret Mitchell, please.
Presiding Officer, I thank Kezia Dugdale for bringing this important topic to the Chamber. When I first read about this change of policy in the press, I was shocked. I thought it sounded, frankly, awful. Sexual violence is a challenging and difficult issue. It's challenging to even talk about, never mind to report and obtain justice where you've survived it. I acknowledge that there's a careful balancing act between the needs and views of survivors and the issue of wider public safety, an issue which the state has a duty to uphold. I, along with some of colleagues in the chamber here, attended the briefing given by the Lord Advocate and Solicitor General, and it did provide some reassurance. I left in no doubt that the Solicitor General comes at this matter from a position of extensive experience and that the safety and well-being of women are at the forefront of her decision-making. I fully appreciate the Crown's desire, indeed duty, to see more rape cases prosecuted and more rapists brought to justice. In the interests of justice, in the interests of public safety, in the interests of women's safety. The Solicitor General made it clear, speaking in the Chamber last week, that the focus of the revised policy is not to compel rape complainers to testify, but to ensure that the decision, and crucially the responsibility about whether or not to prosecute, lies with the Crown. The public safety case for the Crown on prosecuting a dangerous, violent, repeat offender is obvious. However, it must only ever be in exceptional circumstances that a witness warrant be sought. It is crucial, absolutely crucial, that the complainer, the survivor's views, welfare and interest remain at the heart of the Crown's prosecution policy. And to quote the Crown Office directly, will always be a significant factor in the decision. Failure to live up to this and demonstrate these words in practice would quite simply be unacceptable. Whilst I might not agree with the motion that the policy needs to be reconsidered, I do agree that we must all redouble our efforts in addressing the reasons that survivors so often feel unable to continue with the criminal justice process. Confidence in our justice system must be improved. In November 2017, the Inspectorate of Prosecution in Scotland published its thematic review of the investigation and prosecution of sexual crimes. It noted, whilst there had been an increase in the reporting of sexual crimes, a high rate of attrition along with a low conviction rate, particularly for offences of rape and attempted rape, remain concerning. It also noted that secondary victimisation experienced as a result of the trauma of the criminal justice process is a feature associated with crimes of sexual violence. I'm glad to hear that there is going to be ongoing work with Rape Crisis Scotland as to how this change in policy will work in practice and how survivors will be supported. We in this chamber can also play a part in both highlighting the issues, challenging the system, but also in making sure our words and actions don't cause more harm. Victims or survivors of sexual crime must be treated sensitively and appropriately by the justice agencies at all levels and at all times. This policy may be the right thing to do, but if it doesn't go hand in hand with ensuring greater support for survivors of sexual violence throughout the criminal justice process, it will not succeed in achieving what we all want, justice.